Hello and welcome. Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. Hello to Copper. Hello, Marcia. How are you? How are you, ladies? And hello to those watching on the replay. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Elizabeth. So glad that you're here. This is your first time. Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Fantastic. I'm so glad that you're here. Wonderful, wonderful. Let me fix this comment here, make it a little bit smaller here. All right. So glad that you are here. Ladies, we are going to talk about quilting books and tools, those must have tools that maybe we take for granted. Maybe your must have list is different from mine, different from Copper's or from Marsha or from Elizabeth or Benita. Hello, Benita. So glad that you're here. Hello, Lori. Welcome. Aloha from Hawaii. So glad that you're here. Wonderful, wonderful. And Marsha. So I want to know what is at the top of your list of quilting books, quilting or sewing books that you have to have in your sewing space. Let us know in the chat. What's the number one that you can't live without? Let us know. What is that? Who else is here? There goes to Teresa Green. Hello. So glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. Now, I'm going to share with you some of my must-haves. And a lot of them are reference books, things that help me with my sewing machine, help me with my sewing projects, help me with techniques, help me with quilt block design and fabric selection. So let us know in the chat, what is your number one book, reference book you have to have in your sewing and quilting space? Before I share mine, I want to know what yours is. Let us know. What's yours? All right. Color Magic for Quilters. Okay, that's her number one for Teresa Green. All right. Let's see what else we have in the chat. Who else can share their number one must-have reference book in their sewing and quilting space? I know you want to know what mine is. What is yours? All right. What is one that you must have? So Copper says, I think my Bernina manual. I have the 880 and there's a lot of functions. That's a wonderful number one choice. That's a good choice. Your sewing machine manual must have. Any okay. I don't know who that is, Marcia. Anything from your manual, says Bonita. Again, someone else says their manual, their sewing machine manual. Yes, that is also my number one thing. When I got the Bernina machine, this is the sit-down machine that is on loan to me as an ambassador. The first thing I did was take out the manual. I needed the manual. We forget how important the manual is when it comes to learning a machine, and having it close by your machine is so important. I had to open this up and read the pages one by one so I know how the machine works, the functions. That is the best way to get the most out of your machine, is to read the manual and then have it close by when we forget how to do some function that we don't do every day. All right. So sad you don't get to keep the machine. So Lori says, yes, her manual. Fantastic. Exactly. Yes. Now, you see a couple others here that are kind of hints. But before I do that, let me go back to this view here. So we've decided the sewing machine manual is so important. One, how to use the machine, all the functions, all the features, how to use it safely, how to get the most out of it. And then at the back, most manuals have at the back troubleshooting guides, right? Troubleshooting. But we may need more than what the manual has. We may need more. And that is where I love this book here. You've heard me talk about it before. If you've been to Quilt Conversations Live, if you haven't, sewing machine reference tool. Oh my, this is a must have. Let's take a closer look. If you are not familiar with this and you have not picked this up, you want to consider it. So, why is this a must have for me? A sewing machine reference tool, a troubleshooting guide to loving your machine again. Let's take a look. I don't know what that is. So, it has tension. Isn't that one of the things that we struggle with, right? Our relationship with thread tension, the top and the bottom thread. What about needles and the foot pressure? All of those things are in this book. And what I love about it is that it's a reference, but it's also a quick guide, a quick resolution guide, a quick troubleshooting guide. So I like that on this side, it says what the problem is. This is one problem: skipping stitches, shredding, and breaking thread. Just right here. Then it tells you all the possible causes of why you're having skip stitches, while while your thread is shredding, and why it's breaking. Possible causes. And for each possible cause, they give what to do. All right, raise your hand. How many of you sew late at night? Raise your hand. Right? You're having problems with your machine. You can't call your girlfriend, you can't call me at midnight and say, "Hey," unless there's an agreement that, "Hey, we're both sewing at midnight. Let's help each other out." But having this reference tool when you're having skip stitches at midnight with a list of possible causes and then solutions, it's gold. I think it's gold. So Lori says that she purchased it after, okay, awesome. After I went through it better on Amazon, lots of good info in this book. Yes. So Copper has never seen it. And yes, I have it on my Amazon. For those of you who are new, all you have to do is go to tools.livingwaterquilter.live, and I have two lists: a quilting book list and a sewing book list. All the books that I like in my library, reference library, and some for fun, you can find those books there. Tools.livingwaterquilter.live. All right, let's go back to the overhead camera. So what else do I like? So there's a ton of things here, ton of problems that are common problems. The fabric is puckering, the needle is hitting, all kinds of things, uneven stitch length, and they give you the possible causes and then exactly what to do. Love that. Then, of course, they have a awesome section on tension. Tension, tension, tension. I love it. So this is one of those must-have books for me. And I love the visuals to show you what the tension looks like at different stages. Isn't that amazing? Look at the detail in that, where the thread is coming to the top here, the top thread is coming to the bottom, and then this one shows you what good tension is. It's right there in the middle. Love it, love it. What else? So many things. How to properly wind a bobbin, how to not overfill it. This is overfilled. It is indispensable. I have to have this inside my sewing space. They talk about needles and stitching. Just amazing book. I can't speak enough about this reference book for a sewing machine. This is a companion to my sewing machine manual, right? All right, let me check the comments. Hey, Sherry, how are you? Hello, Jacqueline. So glad that you're here. Awesome. The next thing, you kind of see it over here. This one right here. How many of you remember this one? If you're new, maybe you haven't seen it before. But another thing that is important and I think a must have is having your space set up so that you can sew comfortably for hours, that you can have a retreat on a Saturday afternoon. So this book, So Healthy and Happy, it helps you set up your chair, your table, your ironing station, your cutting station. It gives you all the tips on how to make it so that you don't injure yourself while you're sewing or quilting or ironing. It gives you positions for whether you're cutting, how high it should be, ironing, and sewing. And some of us like to sew standing up. And so they talk about that as well. They talk about how you can raise your table. A lot of us, I think, Copper, you said you use bed risers. Ah, yes, that's a good point, Lori. It's especially helpful because it's spiral bound. That's true for both of them, right? And like this one, it says, I am 5'3" in shoes, and my 90-degree angle elbow bend is 49. I subtract 4 from 49 and for the table height of 35 for rotary cutting. So they give you a mathematical way to get the right table height for how tall you are. I think that's fantastic. I love that. What else? And then they show you how you can raise your table. Different methods for different tables. I love this book. Love it, love it. And then they talk about cutting technique. The difference between this is a familiar technique here. This is a wrist-friendly technique. So I want to be able to sew for a long time. Look at these diagrams on how your elbow should be. 90 degrees, etc. Love it, ladies. This is another must-have, according to me. The right chair height, the right type of chair. Sometimes, how many of you ladies stand when you sew? How many of you stand? How many of you ladies stand? Let me know in the chat. Or are you on a raised stool? An office chair, a raised stool, or do you stand? What do you need, back support like she has here, or no back support? There's back support right there. Copper, I can't stand when I sew. Yes, you can't stand up. Right. And then some healthy exercises while we are sewing on those marathon sessions. That is so important. All right. Well, this is another must have, in my opinion. Now, I want to share with you something that is kind of new. It's a reference tool I got some time ago for general sewing. General sewing. It's called the Sewing Reference Tool. It's another spiral bound book, and it is about tools, supplies. Um, it's for not just quilting, it's for general sewing. It's an all in one visual guide, and it has charts, and it's for home deck, it's for garment sewing. It's just one of those all around essential sewing guides. All right, so here's another one, Sewing Reference Tool. Now, this is very similar to the last three with the last two with the spiral bound, and I like the size. It's manageable. Yes, great gifts. That's a good point, Copper. I like that idea. Great gifts for friends. So we have sewing machine feet. All right, top, here's a quiz. Put it this way. How many sewing machine feet do you have with your machine? 5, 10? How many sewing machine feet? And do you know how to use all of them? Do you know how to use all of the sewing machine feet that you have? So this has a section on sewing machine feet, page 7. And I like that they include different brands. Sewing machine feet, they have straight foot, zigzag, zipper. There are so many different types of feet. Learning what they are and how to use them. Most of our manuals will help us with that. This is also a quick reference tool. Let's see. Copper says 50 plus feet. I've used most of them. Wow, that's pretty good, Copper. That's a lot of feet. Stitches and hems. This is all tools, stitches and hems. Then we have zipper section. We have home decor section, size charts. This is for garments and clothing. I love having this kind of quick reference guide, especially if you do home deck. A lot of quilters like to do home deck. Do you do pillows? Do you do other things like that? Pillowcases, duvet covers, that kind of home deck. How many of you ladies do that? This is all in here. Buttonholes, how to do the right size buttonhole. All kinds of information. Oh, happy birthday, Jacqueline. Happy birthday. Fantastic. So this is another one that is not quilting related, but it's general sewing. I think it will help when we want to make our quilted jackets, our quilted home decor items. This will help us with that. A big no doing buttonholes. Well, you may want to learn how to do them. Who knows? Who knows, right? One day, one day. Okay, so when I was at QuiltCon, I did do a little bit of shopping. I got a couple of books, not reference books. I did get a new tool for designing quilts, and it's unusual. It's very unusual. When I saw it, I couldn't resist. And they're called Quilt Builder Deck Card Deck. Quilt Builder Card Deck. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. Let me show you what that is. Some of us don't want to use software like Ecamm 8. Not Ecamm, I'm sorry, Electric Quilt 8. I'm thinking of something else. Electric Quilt 8. We may want to use something that is closer to what may be more traditional for us. And these are cards. These are quilt cards. There are 50 cards all together. And it says, let's see. Thought I saw it at the front. Yeah, there it is. 40 blocks, 8 layouts, and endless possibilities. Have you seen these before? So Marcia says she wants to redo her place. Oh, great. You have these. Wonderful. Tell us how you use them. Now, if you haven't seen these before, there are 40 different quilt blocks. 40 different quilt blocks to mix and match to create a quilt design. You can do a sampler quilt. You can do a quilt just of one block. Aren't these cool? I love these. Now, if you're, on your kitchen table or your cutting table, you can take some of these and start to put them together to create a design, right? You want to make a sampler quilt because you want to learn how to make a certain type of quilt block, right? I love these. And guess what? On the back, it gives you the layout, the pieces, and then how to make different sizes, and they give you how to cut, what you need, what to cut, for 6-inch, I need my glasses. Oh, they're way over here. Okay. So we have 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, and 36. They tell you what to cut. Isn't that fantastic? I love that. So that's for every single one of the cards. You get what you need. For A, B, C, and D, it's alphabetically coded. Then they tell you if you want a 6-inch block, exactly what you have to do. All right. Yes, Jacqueline, you're 29. Yes, 29. We are 29 forever. Yes. Now, in addition to the blocks, the 40 blocks, you get these other cards. You get yardage for quilting back. On that side, cut and finish binding widths. Then you get yardage for rectangles, figuring fabric for a quilt, corner alignment for piecing shapes. How many of you have had challenges with how to align these different shapes to get accurate piecing? Aren't they cool? I love them. I was so excited when I saw it at QuiltCon. Sewing half square triangles. Then they give you layout options. This is a grid of 5x6. Here's another layout option. Another layout option on that side and one on this side. Several layout options. I think it said a total of 8 layout options. And then a side and corner triangles for diamond settings. When we have to put triangles in the corner, how do you make them? What size piece of fabric do you need to get 2 and 4 setting triangles? I love this. On point challenge. So this is deck number 1. There are 2 decks. This is deck number 1. So if you like a challenge, this is certainly one, right? You can use this to start designing without needing computer software. Just take one of these 40 blocks, make one quilt, or mix and match. So this is the first one, but guess what? There is set number 2. Yes, yes, it can replace all the graph paper. Yes. Unless you want to color. But if you want to color, you would still maybe once you design with the cards, you can then put it on your graph paper for coloring. All right, so here is the second set, and this one has again 40 blocks, 8 layouts. So that would be a total of 80 quilt blocks with both sets. And these are all different than the ones that are in here. But again, you have the cutting information on the back. And the cards are very sturdy. It's a sturdy cardboard. Okay. What else? So I just love all these different patterns. These are so fun. Look at that. Wouldn't that be a challenge? How to begin to make this pattern? How is that done? They break it down. They break it down exactly. Isn't that awesome? I love that pattern. Some of them are easier than others, and some of them are a little bit more complicated. Here's another one. How is that one stitched? This is called the Roman cross. All right. So these are definitely a little bit more, it seems, complicated or challenging. They will really test your skills, right? And then, of course, there are more charts, and the layouts are different in this one than in this. So you have 8 new additional layouts. So I love this. We always need some kind of inspiration for our next quilt, right? And sometimes we want to design our own. And I think this is one way to do it. So I wanted to share that with you. I picked this up when I was at QuiltCon. Awesome, awesome, right? All right. So the next thing that I picked up has to do with color. How to choose color for your quilts. And I got what is called the 3-in-1 tool, the 3-in-1. Have you heard of this? The ultimate 3-in-1 color tool? Let me know in the chat. Have you heard of it? 3-in-1 ultimate color tool. How do you use it? How is it used? I'm going to show you. Let's take a look. I'm going to move these over here. See if I can get this over here and this over there. All right. So the first thing I want to show you is how to use the red and green films. They have 2 films in here, this red one and this green one. How do we use that for color grading? Oh, hey, Teresa. How are you? So glad that you're here. Welcome. Yes, everything copper that I'm sharing tonight is on my Amazon shop. All you have to do is go to tools.livingwaterquilter.live, and I have 2 lists, a quilting list and a sewing list books, and you will see them. If you're on YouTube, those links are in the description box below. Those who are on Facebook, let me know. I can drop the link if you want, but otherwise you just open up another tab and type tools.livingwaterquilter.live. So let's see how we use these. Let's go to the overhead camera. So here's a quilt block. And you can see the contrast in this. Dark, medium, light. And you would use this 3-in-1 tool to help you select fabric so that you have a nice blend of contrast if you want. And one way is to take the green and see if you can see distinctly all 3. You can see the light, You can see the medium and you can see the dark. The red also does it, but often if you use the red with something that has red or pink in it, sometimes it's not that easy to see the distinction in contrast. So that's why they have the green. You see how you can see the contrast better here with the green than you can with the red? But this is a really easy example. You can clearly see the contrast in this, right? What about this one? Can we see the contrast in that one easily? Let's take out the red. You're not going to be able to see it that good because this pink is very close to the red. So that's why you bring out the green. And the green is going to help you see the contrast between the three different fabrics. So depending upon the fabrics, what is light, medium, and dark will vary, right? So I put the red and you don't see the contrast as much because of the red being in this pink. But you can still see the contrast. These two are kind of close, right? What about something like this? You can see the contrast somewhat, right? You can see it between the white and the green. Does it make a difference when we have the red? Very little, but somewhat. You can still see that this is dark here, right? Easy to see. But what about when we start getting into fabrics like this, where the colors look pretty close? This is where this is going to help you see the contrast. So as you're shopping for fabric and trying to figure out what fabrics you want, you're going to use this tool to help you see the contrast between the fabrics. I love that. So you can take this to the store. It's just the right size. It can fit in your purse, right? Where it really, really comes in handy is a block like this. When you buy sometimes fabric bundles or collections and they have a lot that are in the mid-tone area and you want to blend those into a quilt, you want to use one collection for one quilt project. If all of these are inside that collection, how are you going to place each fabric based on color value? That's what these do. These help you see the color value, not the color, but the value of the color in terms of the grayscale. Okay? It will help you see that. Let me see if I can do this real quick. I wanted to try this beforehand, but I don't know if I can do it. Let's see. Will it work? Yeah, I'm going to take the color out of the camera. So normally I tell you, take a photograph, turn it to black and white so that you can see the color value. I'm going to do that with my camera, take out the color, make it black and white. Do you see how the value, this is the darkest, but these are very close in value? Close in value. Even this one is close. If you can't change it, hey Jazzy, welcome. So glad that you're here. If you're not in a position to change it to black and white, this is where you bring in the red and the green to see the value of the colors. Is everyone getting that? This is why this is a kind of a must-have tool for one reason. Okay. Now, so these are very close. What about when you have lights and darks and mediums and you want it to stand out? You want to have nice contrast and blending in certain areas. And you want to pick the right color brown, the right red, the right orange. You're not using the collection. You're going to go to your stash because you want to make a quilt block. Isn't this a cute block? It's so cute. This was given to me during a block exchange at a local guild. You want to consider what's going to give you that nice contrast. The red, you see how the red is not working because this is red? This is where you would take the green, and now you can see the contrast with the green. With the red, you can't see the contrast. With the green, you can. So that's why you need both. So if you have your graph paper, Lori, and you want to make a block from that card builder set and you want to put specific colors, you're going to try and find out the color value of red that you want, the light that you want, the medium that you want for each area of the quilt block. And you're going to use not only these to help you once you have the fabrics, to audition the fabrics, but you're also going to use one of the colors inside this color tool. So if I'm looking for the color that's close to this red here, say this is kind of an orangey red, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe it's this one. You find the color that's close to the color that you want for the value that you want. And this is something that is awesome. When you have tint, tone, and shade. Tint, tone, and shade. And it tells you that these are tones, tones, tones. And I think this is the pure color red. And then we have tints, tones, and shades. The pure color, when you add white, you get a tint. When you have the pure color and you add black, you get the shade of that pure red. When you add gray, that's when you get the tones. So all of these tones are red with a little bit of gray added to get the different looks that you see here. And it's all inside this tool. They show you how to do it. It's amazing. And then for each one of these, they have the color corresponding RGB numbers, the hex numbers, everything you need. And then on the back, you're designing this quilt block and you want to have a certain type of look. And they say, okay, what kind of look do you want? Do you want it to be monochromatic? Do you want it to be complementary, analogous, split complementary, or triadic? So then they tell you exactly how to get that look. So if I wanted, let's see, split complementary, it tells me the numbers, what I need. So if I look at the red, there's 2 on either side. Let me hold this up. The one that's pulled out right there, that's the pure red color. On either side of that red are 2 more colors. Those are the 2 colors that I want to work with, in addition to the red. And so I would just go inside this, and I take, this is the red, and I want 1 here and 1 here. That's 2. And then the next 2, 1, 2. So those are the 2 on either side of the red. And then I would choose based on what I see here. I know it's a lot of information. You have to take your time with learning how to do it, but that is how you can choose fabric when you're going to design your own quilt blocks. What about something like this? Yeah, aren't they fun? Yes, hex numbers. It includes copper hex numbers and CMYK and RGB. Yep, you get all of that. What is RGB and what are hex numbers? Ah, red, green, and blue, the combination of those to make the color. And hex is the number that often you will see when uh, designers that use software for like illustrations, they use hex numbers. When we're printing fabric, when they're printing fabric, they use CMYK, cyan, yellow, and magenta, and K for black. That's how they print the fabric, with CMYK numbers. When you're working on a computer designing with software, it's hex numbers. Or a graphic artist, they're using hex numbers. All right. Hopefully that helps a little bit. It just depends on what area you're using colors, which numbers you need, what numbering system for that color you need. So this is another example. This is a wonky kind of log cabin, and the value of this, it's not a lot of contrast. This has some contrast here and here, but what about over here? These two are almost the same value, same value. And same thing over here. These have all similar values. And let me change this to black and white, and you can see when I take out the color how almost all of them except the center have the same value. We're taking out the color and we're just looking at the value. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Bring that saturation right back in. All right. So this 3-in-1 tool has so many options. This is why this is on my must-have, because it will help you select fabric. It will help you design your quilts and quilt block. It will help you have the contrast that you want, whether it's a monochromatic color scheme or triadic or analogous. It takes time to learn each one and how they work, but it's worth it, right? So that your quilts can sing and say what you want them to say. So that is another one. All right. What is next on my list? Oh, I know what I want to show you. One last thing. I have some fabric here. And so you're in the store and you're trying to pick 3 fabrics, light, medium, and dark, for a project, right? And so you've picked up these fabrics because you love them and you're petting them. And you're like, oh, I love this blue. I love this red, this maroon, this yellow, orange, but I can't get them all. Which ones am I going to use for my project? Which of these 2 that are close in orange am I going to pick? And that's when you're going to get this, right? You're going to get this out. You're going to look at the contrast between the colors and say, is it enough contrast between this fabric and this fabric? Will they work well together in a quilt? Even though I like them, if I want it to be a medium or high contrast, is it going to work? You're not going to use the red one because you really can't see the contrast between the 2. You're going to use this, right? And you see that the contrast is very low, but maybe that's what you want. That's how you make your decisions, right? You're going to get maybe a different tint of this, a different tone, right? So if you want it to be lighter, that means it's going to be a tint where that color, original color, you added white to it. If it's going to be darker, a shade of that color, they would have added black to it to make it darker, right? So this is how you would take this into the store and start to select your fabric. All right. So that's that. And let's see. What else? Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Marsha. You're welcome. Hello, Renee. So glad that you're here. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad this is helpful. I hope that quick overview um, wasn't too fast and too complicated. It has instructions on it, and it's not hard. If you just take time, just like your manual, you read the instructions on how to use it, and you just go step by step. It's worth the investment. Okay. Um, what I wanted to do was remind you that for the month of March, every month I have a course that is on sale or discounted. The 10 steps, a lot of you are in the course, 10 steps to stress-free machine quilting. When you go to the website, you'll see a coupon code come up, a pop-up window. You get $50 off the course. It is a course that helps you go through every single step from fabric preparation to fabric selection, needles, thread, piecing techniques. It's really a master course on quilting, right? From the beginning to the end so that you get good results. Some of you are already taking the course, and don't forget to hand in those assignments so I can help you. Okay, that's the other thing. You get to get coaching from me when you get to a point where you need additional help, or you want to show me some of your successes, which I want to share those successes. Now, this is for the month of March. That will end at the end of March, and then I'll have something new for April. Wanted to let you know that. And then I wanted to let you know how excited I am that so many ladies are excited about having a quilt along for the beautiful sister. It's going to be a quilt along, a little event, a course that's coming out for both the quilt and the quilt block. So ladies are buying the quilt pattern, they're buying the block pattern, and it's going to launch sometime in April. So I want to let you know that that is coming up, and I'm shipping out patterns every single week to ladies all over the US. So I'm really excited. If you purchase a pattern, thank you. I'm looking forward to having fun with you making the beautiful sister quilt. If you are new and you've never heard of it, all you have to do is go to beautifulsister.com, and you can put in your interest. Let us know if you're interested in either the pattern for the quilt or the quilt block, or if you want to let me loosen that there. Hold on just a minute. There we go. All right. You let us know if you're going to want to be interested in the upcoming bundle, which is going to include the course. You just fill out the email, you'll get on the list, you'll be notified. If you are interested in the pattern or the quilt, you just click on, learn more. You learn more about the pattern, and you get information about it, whether it's the block. And then, of course, if you were here last time, a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Scorpio, who made my bomber jacket. And Scorpio and I are going to have, probably in May, a sew along to make a quilted version of the jacket. So also you can go to the site if you're interested in being a part of that and you want to get notified. Just put in your email. All right. Just wanted to let you know that that is happening. And if you are new and you've never seen the quilt blocks or the quilt, I don't have the quilt. Maybe I'll hang the quilt up. Next time I go live, I'm going to hang the quilt up. I'm going to change this one out and hang that quilt up. I think that'll be fun. But I'll show you the quilt block. For those of you who were here in the very beginning last year, when I was designing this, remember this was the first one? This was the first test. This was the first test, right? And I was thinking, How am I going to quilt this part? How am I going to quilt that? What will the quilt block look like? So I wanted to test. And I always say test, 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 right, ladies? I say test. All right. So after I did the test, I also made the Beautiful Sister quilt block that's in the big quilt. I made individual blocks so that I could practice some ruler quilting and other techniques. Going to give Cookie her quilt. It's not her quilt, it's my quilt. Yes, my beautiful sister quilt. She's my beautiful sister. She would like that, I bet. That's a good question. But you know how I always say practice, 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 test, test, test. And I want you to see that I practice what I preach, right? I always tell you, ladies, before you go to the big quilt, you have to practice. So, right, I practice on this small one first, right? Then I made subsequent the big quilt and I quilted it. But then I came back and I said, well, I'm going to test some different ways of quilting the same block. So when you're making a quilt, make more than enough quilt blocks so you can practice different quilting techniques. Hey, there goes my sister Penny, my other sister, my other beautiful sister. She probably wants her own quilt now. And so here is another version. I am practicing ruler quilting techniques on the same quilt block and free motion quilting techniques. Did you notice? I don't know how many of you noticed. Do you see I stitched the word love in here? You see that? So I stitched the afro a little bit different. So love is over here. And then love is over here. The word love is right there. That's a different way to stitch the afro, right? And then this section is also stitched differently. See how that is stitched different? Let me show you on the next one here. This one is swirls. Swirls all in there. Some hexagons, stacked hexagons here. And then this section is stitched a little bit different. Lollipops around Cookie. Ah, you like that, Renee. Ah, Kappa, you love the love. You love the love in the hair, right? Isn't that awesome? So this is how we move to the next level. We take a chance, we experiment, we try different things, right? From this first one, I did very, very tight stippling, and I used two different thread colors. There's a little bit of blue in here. That's very different from this one. See how tight the stitching is here? And then this one is a little bit looser. Loose, tight. Ah, my sister Penny likes the love in the hair too. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. So, ladies again are purchasing the block. I told my sister, your face is all over the US. I've mailed out quilt block patterns to Washington, California, to Nebraska, to Georgia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Tennessee. Yes, everywhere. Texas. Her face is in the mail. I mailed out some yesterday, heading to all these different places. Ladies are making a beautiful sister quilt or quilt block with my sister. But you know what? I like to think that she represents all sisters. My sister, your sister, us collectively as sisters who are quilters, that we all have someone that's close to us, whether they are a blood sister or a sister friend. That's what I hope ladies are seeing by taking the chance, the opportunity to make a beautiful sister quilt or quilt block. All right. So we are almost at the top of the hour. The last thing I want to share with you, the other thing ladies are doing, they're buying beautiful sister fabric. I am in the middle of making a fabric collection, designing it, and I have samples. So some ladies have already received their samples. These are some of the fabrics that were used in the bomber jacket, right? I was testing different designs. So this is one sample pack. You get 4, 4, 4, and 4. And there's only a few left. Only a few left. I think of the fat quarter bundle, these are 5-inch squares. This is the fat quarter bundle. So you get a fat quarter of each one of these. Beautiful fabric. Here's one. And then this one has a few more than that one. There's more faces on this one, fewer, more spread out on this one. But there are 4 different fat quarters for 1 yard. So I've been shipping these out as well, but there's only a few left. And again, you can go to beautifulsister.com if you want to get one of the last samples of the fat quarter bundle. And I think I have more of these. I have more of these available than the fat quarter bundle. Okay, so let me just go there again real quickly. So this is the Beautiful Sister website, and then you would just click on fabrics, and then you see only 5 left of the mini charm pack, 6 left of some panels, and only 2 left of the fat quarters. That's it. All right. Yay. All right, ladies, I shared my must-have tools and books, the 3-in-1 color tool, the sewing machine troubleshooting guide, and of course our sewing machine manual, and then the Sew Healthy book to get the right height for your tables, the right chair positions, the right height for your ironing board. All of that is important. Ladies, thank you for spending time with me again. I will see you on the first Friday of April. What date is that? Who remembers? What is that date? All right. Let me see. Did I miss something in the chat? Let me check. Oh, thank you, Copper. Appreciate that. Awesome. A brother can have sisters too. Yes, indeed. All right, time to remind us. Yes, thank you, Lori. If you are new here, we're so glad that you came. If you were watching and you weren't in the chat, please join us in the chat next time. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment below if you have any questions. I am happy to answer them. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell so that you can get notified. And don't forget, if you enjoyed tonight's Quilt Conversation Live, give it a thumbs up. And don't keep it a secret. Let your friends know that we meet here on the first and third Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a community of quilters who love to talk and share quilting ideas and other things. Yes, who knows the date? I always try to remember the date, but I forget. When is the first? I think it's April 7th. Is that correct? The first Friday is April 7th? I think that's it. Take a look. Let me know. All right. Now I want to make sure I did not forget anything. I think I covered everything. Hey, good to see you too, Terry. Welcome. So glad that you came. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Ladies, have a good weekend. I will see you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live. Bye now.